Hello and welcome to another weekly update. As you can see, another glorious day. Never let it be said that the UK does not have nice weather. So I'm outside again because you've got to make the most of these opportunities. I can't really see the laptop screen with my notes on it, but I'm sure we'll get through it okay. So another good week this week for developers, kind of across the spectrum really, not just Teams developers. There's two features for developers who use Teams even if they're not Teams developers. So I'm talking to people in organisations that have Teams and use Teams as their kind of day-to-day way of communicating around the company, and they're also developers, so but they might not be developers on the Teams stack, so Teams developers. Make sense? Good. Well, there's two new things for you guys. So firstly, a new blog post on the tech community site, on the Teams blog, because there's now better integration between Microsoft Teams and GitHub. So what does this mean? Well, it means if you use GitHub for your code repositories as your source control provider, or even if you just kind of use GitHub to go and get other people's codes and fork new projects, then there are integrations for Teams now. So there's a dedicated bot. You can use it as a quick way of kind of accessing your repos, subscribing to different repos, searching pull requests. You can add comments, you can seal details, and you can kind of close and reopen issues as well. So it's kind of like a GitHub management system built into Teams, via a bot. There's also a messaging extension. Now that's really useful. The messaging extension, it lives down in the compose bar, sort of the same place that you add your images and you attach your files. And that will let you search, so you can search a pull request, and you can search issues as well. So that's definitely useful, and that comes up, for us as well. If we're talking about a different issue and trying to get everybody on the same page, just being able to link to a specific issue is great. What this does, all these kind of integrations, is keeps people working in teams. It means you haven't got to switch context all the time, and it's switching context that takes time and it takes energy. So being able to kind of stay in Teams means that productivity stays high. And so what all these integrations do is bring kind of that data into Teams so people can access the data they need to have the conversations that they're already having. The final kind of piece of that puzzle are notifications. So this GitHub collection includes, GitHub app includes notifications, so you can be notified of things like pull requests, issues, pushes, and commits. So it's great to see those kind of functionalities all wrapped up into one kind of nice, easy to get app. It's called the GitHub app. You can get it from the Teams store, and you can get it today. So if you use GitHub and you use Teams, then you should absolutely go and check that out. If you don't, then don't worry, there's something else for you, because there's a new similar app for Azure pipelines. So that's kind of really interesting. So if you use Azure pipelines, then there's also an app new into the Teams App Store. You can do kind of many of the same things actually. There's a list of commands that you can send to the app. So you can do things like subscribe and unsubscribe to different pipelines. You can you need to sign in and kind of authenticate. That's all kind of covered by the app as well. And then within those different subscriptions, you can do things like see and approve release deployments. You can get a full kind of history inside Teams of what's going on. You get all those messages as your pipeline steps through different stages in the approval process. You can see all that happening in Teams. The app supports all the kind of different scenarios, single approver, multi-approver, whatever else it is. So again, if you use Azure pipelines, go and get this app because it keeps you in Teams. Another key reason for kind of staying in Teams like that is that you kind of get the conversations for free. So these conversations are happening anyway, but now you can have those conversations in Teams alongside the data, and that's really, really powerful. Again, it's about maintaining that productivity, keeping that productivity high by bringing the data and the information that people need to get their job done, bringing it all in one place so they can communicate, bringing it all into Teams so they can have all those kind of communications, all that kind of chat and voice and video kind of communication happening all within the same place. So super useful. And then the third thing, which is kind of more for Teams developers than just generalists, but there's a lot to take away for if you're just kind of into the Teams space as well. and that's a really good roundup of the big kind of announcements for developers that came out of Build 2019. So Build is now a couple of weeks ago. Everyone's kind of had a chance to trawl through the sessions, and Jason Marino has done a really good kind of write-up again on Tech Community and a video. So the video is kind of interesting. It's kind of an interview with the Teams platform principal manager, and there's links to all the breakout sessions that are kind of relevant, so you can go and check out all the detail for yourself. But it's interesting just to kind of go through the new things for developers that are happening as a result of Build. Now these are things mostly that are kind of announced at Build and are coming soon, or have just about hit, or in some cases may still be rolling out. So if you hear these things and they sound interesting and then you can't find them, just go looking around a bit in the sessions, or it might be that they're still coming out and they haven't quite hit your tenant yet. So the whole life cycle for how Teams apps are being kind of developed and deployed is changing. It's just basically becoming more streamlined. It's becoming better, more support in Partner Center for Teams apps, which is kind of important for organizations. We've talked previously here and on my blog about things like app setup policies and app pinning. There's also app access policies for end users as well. There's a new app certification pilot. I haven't talked about this very much. I was kind of involved in the early stages of it. I've got a blog post I need to write up about it. And good news is I've got a long plane journey coming up next week, so hopefully that blog post will get written then. So look out for that in the week. And and the new platform capability, so this is really key for developers. So new message actions, better ways to use bots, improvements to tabs, link unfurling, reaching users on their mobile devices as well, but also sharing to Teams. Bunch of new stuff for single sign-on as well. Again, that's kind of announced and not arrived yet, so that's why I haven't kind of written a blog post about it, because we're kind of I mentioned it slightly in another blog post, but it's we're just going to wait for the detail on that. Some new APIs which I have previously blogged around shifts for frontline workers. Something else that you're getting all the previews this week, so something else I need to write up and do a video about in the next week or two, is something called app templates. So they are brand new, so look out for those in the coming weeks. So this is the first time I'm talking about them, so you're definitely getting all the preview content on this update. So yep, so lots of good stuff that's come out of Build, and it'll be really interesting to see kind of how that affects the process and the progress of apps going through the App Store and ending up in Teams, in the Teams App Store, and what that means for developers. I think it's all positive stuff. I think it's going to result in more apps going into the App Store, and it becoming a more compelling place for organizations to put their apps. So I'm very excited about that. Alright, I think that is everything that is happening this week that I want to tell you about. So next week is CommsV Next. That is happening on, I want to say, Wednesday and Thursday next week. If you are going to CommsV Next and you're listening or watching to this, please come and say hello. Don't wait for me to come and find you. Please come and find me, even if you're the shy introverted type, because that is also me. So if we both do that, we're never going to meet up. So please just come over and say you said on your weekly update to come and say hello, and we'll take it from there. We'll make it work. And yeah, so super looking forward to that. There's going to be a ton of interesting sessions. I'm hoping to learn a lot as well, and there's 2 sessions I'm doing, and it'll be great to kind of catch up with some really good speakers from around Microsoft and around the industry as well. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, have a great rest of your weekend, and I will speak to you again next week.